Wanted to get some of your takes on the football game, because I feel like, Shayne, and you're probably a good one to talk to about this, as you are for any football related subject, but I'm noticing, I don't know if you're noticing this, you obviously live here in Grand Rapids as well. I'm noticing a kind of a reversion to the same old Lions kind of discussion. And now you were in your playing career when this was happening, but I'm sure you're familiar with the concept. And I feel like the two of us are good between our, wanting to inspire people a little bit, your playing career, me being a bit of an optimist, both of us being optimists. I think we need to debunk this a little bit, because we're doing this with an 8-8 team that's had a lot of injuries. And I'm seeing a lot of this on social media and the places where this kind of stuff festers.
Yeah, it's so easy to kind of fall into. It's so easy to fall into negativity, but yet you want to stay positive. So you kind of make statements of almost apathy or almost in a way where you justify things. But really, as a fan, that's what makes it tough, man, because you want things to go a certain way, and when they don't go a certain way, you try to find the positive in everything, and you're just like, well, we had this, we had that, we had this, we had that. And I promise you, the players and the coaches are going through it much harder than we are as fans. So whatever we feel, they are feeling it 10 times as strong. And don't think it does not affect them. It doesn't matter how much money they make. I'm telling you, they are going through as much heartbreak and pain as you can imagine that you feel as a fan. They feel it so much more because they want to win championships and they want to go as far as they can go. Excuse me. They want to have as much success as they can have, because it's only going to help their careers individually, but also as a competitive, team-minded individual, you want your team to do as well as you can. And when that happens, it helps your individual career, because when your team is winning and when you win a Super Bowl, you look at what happens to the contracts of the guys on that team. And even guys that aren't even superstars are usually getting extensions and usually getting security. And the guys that are really superstars usually get the bigger extensions and the bigger security. So that winning and successful culture that you become a part of becomes an exponential growth for your individual career. But when things don't go your way, you have to learn how to deal with it, and you have to learn how to live with it. And sometimes when you don't have those warm, fuzzy feelings, you have to find a way to let it become your motivator. Let it be your push. Let it be your intrinsic motivation. And I promise you, those players are going through it tonight, because being eliminated from the playoffs is a tough place to be in, because now you got to think about this. What's going to happen over the next few weeks? Everyone's job is on the line. Free agency, salary cap issues. Is it worth having this much money towards this guy? Is he making this big of a difference? Do we need to bring in somebody else? Is this person the reason? Is this person the reason? And when things aren't going well, that's when you start asking a lot of these internal questions, and the criticism inside the organization becomes much stronger. It puts a lot of people on edge. And now you've got to say, I have to keep performing strong and playing well for my personal pride and for my team, because if I don't, I might be on the chopping block, and I might be wondering where my next contract's going to be or where my next meal's going to come from, because I'm being looked at in a different way now, as opposed to how I would be looked at if we're in the playoff chase.
I think there's a bunch of great points in there, because I've always been questioned as a big sports fan and somebody that follows it, and now that follows it for the shows and everything, why I'm not more, I guess, passionate or kind of more live and die by the wins and losses of the team. And I always say to those people, it's because I don't play for the team. I have a little bit of a disconnect, and I understand. I think I have more of an empathy for the players like yourself that do put their bodies on the line, do go out there and put everything into this. So it's like when fans say, "Oh, well, they quit on the team or they did this." No, their bodies are probably broken down, and they're still going out there and giving everything that they've got for the team, for the individual. You make a great point about that line, because I think some people kind of misconstrue going into business for yourself. Well, achieving as a team and doing right by the team also helps you as an individual oftentimes, because you're viewed as a team guy that's essential to the culture. So then the team is going to want to retain you. It's not all about individual statistics. Oftentimes it's about being a functioning member of that 11-man unit or special teams unit or 53-man unit as a whole.
Absolutely. And understanding that is really hard to see from the outside, but when you see it from the inside and you live through it, I can tell you it's a lot of highs and lows in that world of, man, everything's going my way, our team is rolling, my career is rolling, or, man, our team is struggling. What is my role on this team? What is my role for my career? What do I need to do to get better? What am I doing wrong? All of these things start to become, excuse me, I'm so sorry. All of these things start to become a huge factor, and finding that mental clarity and finding that kind of, inner peace to be able to stay on the right path and stay in the right process all becomes a huge challenge when things don't always go your way.
And I thought you brought up another great point with the fact that, because I mentioned this in the interview with Zach Moran before you jumped on, but we were talking about how this Lions team, and I think probably athletes and football players specifically, are like this as a whole. I think this team operates well with the proverbial chip on their shoulder. And so getting that edge back and saying, okay, yeah, this season didn't entirely play out like we wanted it to. We ended up 9-8, 8-9, what have you. And now we've got to get back to the drawing board. We've got to make some personnel changes. I've got to improve. I've got to maximize my game for the sake of myself and the team. And I think that renewed edge might help the Lions going forward, because they've always played a little bit better when they're counted out, and now they're going to kind of go down because they're going to be at the lower end of this division. So they're going to have a different schedule going forward next year in who they slot against. They're going to have a better pick going into the draft. So there's going to be some ways for them to improve the team in the offseason, but hopefully the players can use that to gain an edge going forward, rather than, like you said, kind of lose their focus or go in a negative direction.